case you hear a little bit of an echo, that's because we've got Austen in the other room. We're going to break down the tape between the Jaguars and the Bills, what went wrong, what it means long-term in Duval, that and a whole lot more coming up here on today's edition of Club 904. What is going on, party people? Mia O'Brien, excited to be with you guys yet again, another Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whenever you are catching this fun little podcast, as well as a nice little film breakdown today. 1-2-step film breakdown returns with none other than Austen Lane, the former Jaguar, and of course the co-host of the Brent and Austen Show here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We appreciate all of you who hung out with us throughout the course of what was a groundbreaking 13-4 regular season for the Big Cats. They do go one and done in the postseason, but as Austen and I discussed today, there's room for optimism. There may also be room to continue to build. And so without further ado, let us bring in the co-host of the Brent and Austen Show, the one and only A-Train himself, Austen Lane. Austen, thanks for staying a little bit overtime and hanging out with us here at Club 904, man.
Yeah, how are we doing? Thanks for having me in the club. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of in the corner right now, sobbing a little bit in the club just because, you know, we have to kind of break down some film and put it to rest, you know, on a really a great season, but obviously the way that it ended, you know, I was in the stands and everything, and I probably took another 20 minutes after the game just to kind of sit there and reflect while the Bills fans were exiting, you know, their respective parking lots and everything. So it's somber, it's bittersweet, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless.
I'm glad you actually inadvertently brought up the Bears because I joked with the subscribers to the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook on our Discord chat this morning that on my morning run, I thought about it after watching the Texans last night. Mm-hmm. And I phrased the question as such to the subscribers, to the friends of the pod, and I will phrase it to you as well, Austen. When you see a team like the Chicago Bears, who also in their own right went from worst to first, just like the Jags, although the Jags weren't worse in the division, but I digress. When you see a team like the Texans, where the defense is indeed generational, but the offense literally couldn't snap the football last night, does it make you madder or sadder that the Jaguars drew the Buffalo Bills in their first round?
You know what? At the end of the day, Mia, I'm honestly indifferent towards it, right? Because you look back at it, you got to host a home playoff game, and playing at home should be a distinct advantage. Yeah, what would you have rather played? You know, the Steelers, and that wouldn't happen because they won the division. But would you rather play the Steelers or the Chargers? Sure, but like, you know, your record was your record. You were the third seed, and at the end of the day, if you're trying to make that Super Bowl run, yeah, you pretty much have to play everybody, right? Or anybody that's good. So, yeah, would you rather see the Jaguars play somebody besides Josh Allen? Absolutely, but I'm not mad how it shook out because I think that was the game they should have won anyway. So,
yeah, and so now we're going to turn to the tape and see why the Jaguars had a chance to win this one. I had many a conversation in the locker room at Locker Room Cleanout on Monday. You'll hear some of those conversations after we get Austen up on out of here. But to that point, Austen, one thing that at least one player said to me, I think that these 4 plays we're going to look at clearly define what this player told me, which was we dominated this game except for the 5 to 6 most important plays of the game.
And yeah.
That's the Bills made plays at the most critical moments, which is the sign of a veteran football club.
Without a doubt. And that's kind of what I said too on the Brent and Austen Show, even though now I have Bills Mafia in my mentions, and I may need a post-game pep talk from a certain media member just to kind of give me a hug and make me feel better because like I'm getting absolutely eviscerated, even though I really don't care. But what hurts so much was the fact of when you have a close game, it comes down to a few plays here, a few plays there. And sometimes you tip your hat and you go, okay, that play was a result of that team having, you know, professional athletes as well and making great plays. But when you look at, especially in the secondary, some of the mental breakdowns, which I'm sure we're going to get into here in a little bit and everything, it was almost like, yeah, Josh Allen had a great day and he showed why he might be the best quarterback in the playoffs, hands down. But it was also, well, the defense, if they just would have been on the same page, minded their P's and Q's, it may have went differently and they may have won that game. So that to me is the frustrating part where I felt like you did have the better team and unfortunately you didn't play like it.
We are going to get it popping. First and foremost, though, I do want to shout out the 100 of you that are hanging out with us live. Ether Dark says he feels not mad or sadder, but melancholy and chill. Mike is driving, but is still listening to us. So, Mike, make sure you go back and watch this one on YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, because we are diving into the lab, Austen Lane. Let me make sure I get you in here first and foremost. Let's add your camera. There he is.
Cool.
All right. So I know you mentioned the secondary for the Jags and some of the warts that perhaps came back to haunt them, but we're going to start with Trevor Lawrence. This is, sadly, we're going to start with the last meaningful play of this game on Sunday, which was the interception. And so the reason I want to start here is because there was a big talking point, for better or worse, online that may or may not have been, at least the first time I saw it, was started by someone who is still, I think, in the Action Sports Jack studios in Hamby. Parker Washington. That was the first person who I saw posted. Sorry, Hamby, online.
Sure.
Parker Washington, yes, is open
Yeah.
on a deeper route than Jacoby Myers. Tell me why, or maybe Trevor should have targeted Parker Washington, or why would he have been unable to make that happen? So
real quick, Mia, but before we get into, the depth of the crossing route and everything, we have to look at what the offensive line's doing here, right? And obviously Cole Van Lanen just made himself some money this season. Congrats to him. I always call him the the badass from Bayport, Wisconsin, because he grew up about an hour down the road from me. So I have to represent those Wisconsin dudes and everything. But this was a game where they extremely missed him because Walker Little here doesn't get the best set, and his guy eventually gets around, and this is what actually causes this play to develop. So if we fast forward just a little bit here, we see Walker Little get beat right here, and now we have Trevor Lawrence getting ready to feel some pressure. I get what everyone is saying where, okay, Jacoby Myers, that's kind of the trusted guy in this situation. I think he's the first wide receiver that Trevor's going to look at. You do have Parker Washington, who had a great day. He had a great second half of the season. You see him right now, he's wide. Well, it looks like he's wide open. But what you can't see on this film is that there's a safety behind him that is just waiting for Trevor to throw that ball and pick it off, right? So if Trevor Lawrence throws the ball right now to Parker Washington, which looks open, that safety's going to see it. It's a much longer ball to throw. He's going to crash down on it because he only had one read, and that was Parker Washington not beating him deep. Safety comes down, either tips the ball or makes an interception, makes the play, and the game's over. Now, if Trevor had 2 or 3 more seconds to let this play develop, well, then maybe the safety cheats up a little bit. Parker can use his speed, and this might actually be a touchdown. So this is a result right now. Once again, this is always about complementary football. This is the offensive line not getting it blocked up 100% like they should have. And this is Trevor having to make a play, because if Trevor holds the ball another 1 to 1.5 seconds, he's getting hit, right? So he essentially did what he had to do, try to, force it to Myers. Obviously, it was in a very tight window. The window gets exposed, and that's the end of the game. It was over before it even started, Mia.
One thing, Austen, that was brought up in our Discord chat over at the Mo Bryan NFL Notebook was that could Brenton Strange have held that chip maybe just a half second longer? Do you think that he held his chip alongside Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland on that left side of the offensive line? Like, if he holds this a little bit more and brings help for Walker Little, I don't know what the play call was, like what his role in this play is supposed to be. If it's supposed to be just a quick, hey, chip as you're coming out of your break, or if it actually is like hold the line until you see Trevor get to the bottom of his drop back.
Yeah, listen, I'm not sure what PFF called this, right? Because they always seem to know what's going on, even though they don't know the play call. Listen, I understand what Brenton Strange is doing here, right? Like, this is it's the final drive of the game and everything, and you're trying to make a play, right? So the last thing probably on your mind right now is to stay an extra second to help your offensive tackle. So could he have chipped more? Absolutely. But do you trust in that chipping situation that Walker Little can get the job done? Yes, you can. And
I think, and I just want to verify, was this one? No, it's just one. It's and take a cough. You got to say.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm getting a little choked up here, Mia. I told you I'm in the club right now, feeling somber, and this cough is an extent of that. But I think I'm okay now. Go ahead.
I didn't end up doing the countdown off the top of today's program just because we had some technical difficulties. And I know the beat and the bass of the countdown usually soothes you, but alas,
everything.
we didn't have it today. But the intro
Yeah.
has it, so at least you got a little bit of it. It's only one pass rusher, right? I mean, Ezra Cleveland also is supposed to be sliding to help in this situation too.
Yeah, without a doubt, because you see right now the three or the nose, whatever. So we have one guy dropping back. They only send three essentially, right? So the middle is taken care of. Anton Harrison doing a good job. I think that's on Rousseau, if I'm not mistaken, right there. And then the other side, which I believe is Bosa, that would make it then. Yeah, I mean you have essentially Bosa, who, and I get like it's still the name, but didn't necessarily have like a star-studded season. Is splitting both your guys, and he got chipped, right? So you essentially had three guys on one, and he still affects the passer. Like, that can't happen.
And that's where, well, yes, Walker Little is in the middle of that trio that was supposed to stop Joey Bosa. Like, yes, I get why Jaguar fans. I walked into the gym. Shout out to BFT. I walked into the gym Monday morning, and my trainer Jimmy, shout out to Jimmy, is like blaming Walker Little. And while yes, he is obviously at the heart of this play, like there were three people who were supposed to try to stop Joey Bosa, and none of them could.
And listen, and once again, with all due respect to Joey Bosa, but we're not talking about like this isn't Myles Garrett here, right? Like this. I mean, yes, he's a respected pass rusher, but he's not a Myles Garrett. So you would hope that a double team with a chipper can take care of business. Because once again, if they do take care of business here, we don't know what Trevor's going to do in the situation, right? Only he would know. But if he gets a couple more seconds in that backfield to analyze and diagnose, I mean, how can you not see Parker Washington be becoming wide open and probably getting you a touchdown? So it's kind of a case of shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it all starts with complimentary football. Yeah, we can blame Trevor Lawrence and say, should you have thrown it to Jacoby Myers? Sure, okay. Yeah, we can blame Brenton Strange and say, okay, well, maybe you got to do a better job chipping. But it's a team effort, and there's a couple guys at fault here, and this was kind of the story of the game. Like this is obviously amplified because it's the last play of the game, but this was the story in all three phases of not just one guy killing you and killing the momentum. Literally, a team of guys was killing the momentum.
Couple from the YouTube chat before we continue this play and continue this 1-2 step film breakdown with Austen Lane. Our friend Hef says Parker was never open until the second window because Cole Bishop was sitting in the robber position in the stacked cover one look. Yes, we identified the Buffalo Bills safety earlier in the play, Hef, but thanks for hanging out with us. I think you were here from the start, but yes, Cole Bishop is the player who is sitting right there. Ether Dark wants to know, how was it not DPI against Trey White when it was earlier against Jarian Jones? Was that a missed call that kept you sitting in your seat at Everbank Stadium on Sunday, Austen?
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, when you slow it down, you can definitely make that argument, right? But in that moment, and obviously I was there at the game, then I rewatched the film and everything. I've seen worse calls. I don't think you're getting that call in that situation. Like, I get the argument with it, but I don't see it happening.
So the real reason that I wanted to break this play down was not to put you in your feels, which I should note that Chad in the chat says, Mia, you need to tell Austen to keep his head up. So Austen, keep your head up.
All right. I'll keep my head up. Appreciate you.
Keep your head up, because I do believe there are better days and ways that the Jaguars can build upon this moment in time in the years to come, comparatively to, yes, I know, the one and dones that were 2017 and 2022 ultimately, because number one, this is a hungry group. They were as angry as I've seen them after a loss, and that's a positive sign. No one was crying.
Yeah.
In 2022, people were crying because they were just so happy to have been there. That was not the case on Sunday. So the reason that I wanted to watch this play, and now I'm also going to pull up the first interception that Trevor Lawrence had on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, Austen. The middle of the field was identified by Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills as, we know that's Trevor Lawrence's bread and butter. We know that's where Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers make their living. And so we are going to change the picture, especially when Trevor Lawrence is checking out of the initial play at the line of scrimmage. We will also change our alignment in the back end. And so I bring up the first interception to say, similar but different to the second interception, in that middle of the field was muddied for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, so can we go back to the opening second here, because it's all about disguise here, right? You call it Transformers more than meets the eye. So Trevor right now feels like the middle of the field is going to be open because he expects that linebacker to come down a little more. And, I kind of broke this down. It would have been last week before the game where if you look at Buffalo's defense, it's not necessarily like they do a lot of things in terms of coverages, man and zone. Like they're pretty upfront with what they're trying to do and everything. And they do a great job of preventing the home run ball. Right. So anytime you have a team that takes an emphasis on we're not going to get beat deep, it's going to be a bend but don't break type of defense. Well, then that kind of opens things up in the middle a little bit. So I was excited because if Trevor showed anything, the past couple of weeks leading up until this Bills game was the fact of he does a great job of finding those kind of open those areas in that zone coverage, and he can hit the guy. And I really like too going into this matchup where I thought we were going to see a lot more was they gave Brenton Strange a lot more option routes. So in the beginning of the season, Brenton Strange was more like, okay, you're a tight end, go run the crossing patterns every once in a while, just kind of keep it vanilla. These past couple weeks, which I thought was implemented just to get ready for this Bills game, they showcased him at the X, they showcased him in the slot, and they gave him option routes, meaning, hey, Brenton, whatever you see in zone coverage, go sit down in it, and we'll get you the ball, almost like very like Travis Kelce-esque. So it goes to show you just how they feel about Brenton Strange and how I felt like they're going to expose this Bills defense, with their linebackers in secondary. Unfortunately, here is a situation of, and credit the Bills defense here because they had disguises. They ran the same type of defense, but sometimes they ran different looks and disguises that kind of confused Trevor Lawrence here. Basically, Trevor thought the linebacker was going to come up a lot more than he did. He sees what he thinks is the open man in the middle. He throws the football. Linebacker drops back, makes a great play. And how ironic because we saw Devin Lloyd do this exact same thing all season and make some great plays with his eyes. Well, it's the script is officially flipped now because here's a defense against Trevor Lawrence really making the exact same play.
As our friend Hef says, cover one into Tampa 2. It's just a good disguise. How can Trevor Lawrence, though, moving forward, Austen, this is now the big picture with the season officially coming to an end. How does Trevor Lawrence now adapt with this being on tape for all 31 other teams to see heading into 2026?
So with me, it's not just Trevor Lawrence, right? But it's also Liam Cohen, and it's them working together. So I think next year going into it because – and I talked about this on the Brett and Austen show. When Jacoby Myers got there, the offense kind of became a little more vanilla just because I think it is so intricate. And we saw, a rookie like Travis Hunter really have problems with this, with the pre-snap motions and everything, and just kind of like all like the cannon fodder that necessarily isn't a big deal in the box score, but it puts defenses on their heels. I think we see a lot more of that. That's going to open some things up and really tell you what defenses are going to be in. Obviously, another year in the system as well, Mia, is going to help out Trevor Lawrence in terms of just, feeling more comfortable with the looks and everything and what defenses are trying to do. Well, once again, it was a great play call by the Bills. Trevor was confused by it, and this happens. And we saw Patrick Mahomes make the same mistake against Lloyd, and it was a touchdown, right? So even the great quarterbacks sometimes falter a little bit and make this mistake. But hopefully going forward now, he's seen it, he knows it, and he doesn't make the same mistake twice.
It's time to flip it over to the defensive side of the ball, which I know this is something that for you, Austen, is definitely where we start talking long-term, not just Anthony Campanelli and his defense, but the personnel in that secondary in particular. So we're going to work backwards to earlier in the game, just like we did on the offensive side of the ball. This is the completion to Brandon Cooks that proved to put the Bills in the red zone for what would be the game-winning score. And defensive breakdown, yes. Initially, I think a lot of folks were blaming Greg Newsome, but now there has been, as the tape has come out on NFL Plus, I think now this sense of perhaps the safeties triggered downhill a little too quickly.
So, if you watch the all 22 of this, to me, this falls more on Murray than it does Newsome. Now, I'm not sure what the call – I mean, like I know what the call was, but I don't know what the responsibilities were, right? Because sometimes – whether it's in the huddle or it's with the pre-breakdown, whatever, like there's gonna be, hey, if this happens, I'm taking this or whatever, right? So I don't know what the conversation was, but when we let this play, start to run a little bit, you're gonna see Murray essentially. And real quick too, by the way, can we rewind that because I think it's important as well. So usually, as a defense, especially in Campanelli, and you see this with the Bills too, you're gonna give a look, right? You're gonna give a look of what you think it's gonna be, what the quarterback thinks it's gonna be. And then you drop back into something different. This is why I think it's more Murray's fault than it is Newsome's fault, because Murray's giving the, at least the look that he's going to come down and take the short instead of dropping back deep. And then when the ball is snapped, he drops back deep. So usually when that happens and you're threatening something, you do the exact opposite. So he's dropping back now. He's the safety. So I think, okay, he's got the deepest of the deep, right? Don't let a man beat you and everything. And Newsome's got the short route. Well, I don't know if this was something that maybe Murray saw on film from a different play where he thought he was going to cheat it. But once again, just based off of what I've seen on the film and not knowing exactly what the play call was, it looks like Murray is trying to cheat this down and try to make a play, maybe get a pick six or something like that. And in doing so and trying to cheat this down, it left Newsome in a really bad bind. And, once again, Brandon Cooks is on the first team. Oh, yeah, I forgot about him because up until 3 weeks ago, I forgot he was still in the league. If you know anything about Brandon Cooks, the dude's got some wheels, right? So you have a safety trying to cheat it down. You got one-on-one coverage with Newsome, who's more of a zone guy than he is man-to-man. And this is what happens right here. And you have Brandon Cooks wide open, and he makes the play, and a great throw by Josh Allen.
Just runs right past Newsome, which you could see it for those of you who didn't know which number was which at some point in time in season 2, we're going to make sure on Club 904 we get what our friend Steve Sesnick was able to create, the telestrator. We're going to implement the telestrator at some point for the 1-2-step film breakdown. I can promise you that, folks. We did find a website. We just never actually got it off the ground running because then the Jags started winning games. And so Austen and I didn't have to critique the video quite as much. But yeah, you see near side, bottom of your screen, Brandon Cooks just runs right past Newsome, right past Murray. And so you referenced how Newsome is more of a zone corner. That's part of why the trade was made with the Cleveland Browns. You tell me, Austen, and this is before we watch the Dawson Knox play, but give me a sense of, in your opinion, so long as Anthony Campanelli is back as the defensive coordinator, who are the starting corners for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Because a lot of people also watched this play that proved to be such a game changer and said, in a perfect world, that is not 6 guarding Brandon Cooks. That's 12, Travis Hunter.
No, exactly. And that's what it's going to look like going forward, right? You're going to have Travis Hunter, you're going to have Jourdan Lewis, and then whoever else wants to win that spot as your third cover corner. Just because, and once again, I understand the whole narrative now, and this is going to be one of the hot topics in the offseason, and can't wait for it, but it's going to be, is Travis Hunter going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a corner? Will it be a percentage? I think right now going forward, you make Travis Hunter your every single rep cornerback, and then you sprinkle him in as a wide receiver where you see fit. Simply because right now the wide receiver room, it's deep, right? Like Parker Washington has earned himself a new contract, and he's got one more year on his current one before you even have to worry about it if you truly want to worry about it later. Then you have Jacoby Myers, who, I think he got paid as well, and I think Trevor Lawrence is a big fan of him. I think Liam Cohen loves him. And then you have Brian Thomas Jr., who I get underachieved this year, but I've said this all the time. It speaks volumes when you have Patrick Surtain on Brian Thomas Jr., when you have Sauce Gardner on Brian Thomas Jr. It means that defenses respect the long ball, that they respect the go route, and they respect Brian Thomas Jr. So whether or not he underachieved this season didn't matter. Defenses still feared him, and as long as defenses are fearing you, that's going to allow guys like Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers to do their thing. So as far as I'm concerned right now, that's what the wide receiver room is, and then you sprinkle Travis Hunter where you see fit. But you need Travis Hunter a lot more right now, being your best cover corner, especially, if you have a man look like this where you got to keep up with Brandon Cooks.
So Bryce in the YouTube chat says Travis Hunter and a rookie we draft would be those 2 outside corners week 1 next week, which is interesting. And it's certainly something to consider, especially and also that safety room when we look at our final play of this film breakdown, which was the completion to Dawson Knox. I believe this was on 3rd down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Austen. And a different situation, but a similar intermediate route from the tight end, in which you could argue the safeties for the Jaguars, maybe this is proof of concept of they've overachieved during that 8-game win streak.
Yeah. So when we talk about, doing everything in Wingard, and listen, like, I think this guy played above a lot of expectations this year. And obviously he was a guy that I don't think was penciled in as the day 1 starter. I think Ransaw getting hurt and everything like that kind of helped him, try to find that hole of being a starter at safety. And this was kind of the story I felt like all year for this Jaguars team. And this is what scared me the most about playing the Buffalo Bills. Because if you look at where the defense, was at their worst for the Jacksonville Jaguars, it was that Rams game. And it was the Rams game because they used a lot of 2 tight end sets, so you don't know if it's going to be a pass or a run. And the Rams did a great job when they were minus Puka Nacua of using a bunch of tight ends. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of before. Ferguson, I didn't know even existed until my son had to give me a 10-minute TED talk about how he was an Oregon tight end and everything. So then, I got to learn a lot about Ferguson in London when they played there and everything. But this has kind of been the same story this year for the safety, especially with Dewey, who he's not the fastest footed safety. And Wingard is best when he's in the box. He's a physical safety. He's great at stopping the run. He's great at setting an edge. He's great at making tackles. But when you have him, in that deep coverage, trying to take on a tight end, and by the way, the Bills tight ends are they're very good in their own right. These types of things can happen, right? So this is right now, it has to be about read recognition. If you're the safety and you're Dewey right now, you got to see, okay, this is getting ready to break off, and you have to let your instincts take over. Unfortunately, I just don't think, he was quick enough to respond to what was happening. Kind of got a little caught with his hips and everything, got a little turned around for a split second. And in the NFL, a split second can make the difference right there. And this is exactly what happened.
Our friend Gus Logue, I believe this was the play to Knox that he posted, that against the Seahawks, against the Rams, with the tight end. So AJ Barner, your friend Ferguson, basically the Bills didn't have to go far to find their inspiration for some of the play calling when it came to maximizing their tight ends and winning that matchup against a, high IQ safety in Dewey Wingard, but maybe not the athletes that Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox are.
No, without a doubt. And if you want to go to, and I don't think you have it, but if you go to the touchdown to Kincaid, that was more an example of, once again, Devin Lloyd got turned around, didn't know if he should pass it off or not. And then there was the miscommunication of who you're taking, right? And that seemed to be kind of a big thing for this defense this year, especially at the tight end position in the middle of the field, whether it's linebackers or safeties. There has to be a premium on, hey, if this guy crosses my face, I'm going to pass him over, I'm going to take him. And guys got confused with that a lot. With this play here, it's just simple. It's read recognition. It's being the safety, knowing what the route's going to be, knowing that you've seen this route a couple of times and having the instincts to break on it early and at least, make the deflection, but if not, even make a bigger play. And unfortunately, a split second can cost you. That's exactly what happened here.
I went to look for that Kincaid touchdown. I thought I had it saved in the folder.
Oh, no, you're all good. Don't worry.
That's okay. But point being, those tight ends once again came back to bite the Jacksonville Jaguars Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. And so let's end with this, Austen. Big picture for you. What is, coming off of this playoff loss, the number one position of concern, area of concern where you say, love our guys, they're Duval DNA, they have the moxie, but this was not said by me. This was said by another member of our media corps here in Jacksonville, but I've echoed it.
Sure.
There is a reason that, and Brent, I believe has said it on Brent and Austen too. There is a reason that there is a belief that this is the weakest roster that Liam Cohen will coach in his time as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, well, without a doubt. And I almost agree with that a little bit. There's going to be some changes and some guys are probably going to have to walk, right? Like, are you going to re-sign Devin Lloyd? What's the case going to be there? Because he's going to command a lot of money, right? So do you franchise tag him? That's going to be a lot. So yeah, this defense, to be more specific, isn't going to be the same as it was this year. There's always going to be turnover, whether you're the worst team in the NFL, when you're like one of the better teams in the NFL. There's always a roster turnover. I think with going forward, what you need, what you should address in the draft, I still think 3 technique is a position of need. I understand that there's a school of thought that says, okay, you need more edge rush and everything. And yeah, but if you look deeper at it, because I get Trayvon Walker maybe didn't have the year that we all thought he was going to have. What they asked Trayvon Walker to do in this Bills game is a direct example. But once again, when you have a guy sometimes in a 4-point stance playing head up on a tackle, and you're basically saying, hey, Trayvon, if it's a run, go play the 3 technique. And if it's a pass, we're going to need you to get out of your 4-point stance, work around the tackle, and then be the edge rusher that you are. Not a lot of guys are going to do that and get home and fill up the box score. And that was kind of the MO with Trayvon Walker this year. Like, what makes him so great also is sometimes his Achilles heel when it comes to the box score. He's so versatile, and they ask him to do so many things that sometimes him in doing those things doesn't show up where you want to see the quarterback sacks and the pressures and all that. So I think right now they're okay at edge. I think the 3 technique needs to be addressed. We'll see with Eric Armstead what the plan's going to be, but I still think they're missing that 3 technique that's going to be super dependable in the run game and can also get after the quarterback, because you have a guy in Devon Hamilton who Josh Hines Allen at the beginning of the season said he might be one of the best nose tackles. I'm going to be honest, man, like he's doing his job magnificently, right? Because once again, being a nose tackle, it's a thankless job, man. It's not sexy at all, but it's got a great personality, right? And what that personality means is that you got to take on double teams. You got to do the dirty work. You got to clog the holes. And really them stopping the run was really predicated on the play of Devon Hamilton. So I'm happy with Devon Hamilton at that nose tackle, but I think you need a 3 technique now to really take some stuff off of Trayvon Walker and say, hey, we're all set here, man. We can stop the run with 4. We don't got to move you down to the 4-eye and bring down Gardeck and everybody. Let's get a legit 3 technique and let's go from there. So I think 3 technique, obviously, and maybe corner, depending if you bring anybody in free agency or you re-sign anybody as well.
And in case you joined us late, yes, Austen, alongside his co-host on Jaguars Happy Hour, Pete Prisco, says Travis Hunter, corner first in 2026.
Absolutely.
Since I saw that making the rounds on the internet this last 24-hour period, and I'm like, I don't know why Jags fans are upset about that. Like, especially after watching the film that we just did here in Club 904, like it's very obvious that you had corners that, yes, fit your scheme this year, but at the same time, you don't have the horses for courses that you one day want to run. And I think that that's important to note too, that because, well, yes, the Jaguars outperformed expectations, the goal has always been, this was the floor. This was never going to be their ceiling, and I still don't believe it to be so, even after a 13-4 campaign.
And me, and listen, and I hope nothing but the best for Travis Hunter, obviously. My son's got his jersey, so I'm going to need him to cash in next year, right? Because that authentic Prowlers jersey isn't cheap from Travis Hunter, man. Shout out to Fanatics. But when you talk about what this season looked like when Travis Hunter went out, how many times did we go, man, I wish we had Travis Hunter on defense? How many times when they're putting up 30 points a game with Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington Company, where we're going, man, I wish they had Travis Hunter on offense, right? Like that, it doesn't have to be this complicated, right? Like, yeah, if you can sprinkle them on in some packages on offense, so be it. But if you were calling for Travis Hunter on offense this year, I'm not sure what Jaguars team you were watching, because I felt like the offense was fine with their wide receivers. You probably want to see him a little more on defense.
Dell says, great season, only up from here. The 2026 Jags will be on fire like Austin's phone battery. Dell, I want you to know that I was texting Austen this morning with the rundown for today's program. Realized as I was walking through the parking lot, oh crap, I never sent him the 3 other videos. And then he did inform me that he has not had his phone all morning long.
Yeah. It's all good, man. And hopefully I'm getting ready to leave the show right now. I'm getting ready to leave the club, and hopefully the phone's ready. But if not, I mean, you know me, if I have to go pioneer with it and be out on my phone for a couple of days, I'll do it. Just send me like a smoke signal or something. And
I was going to get Hedwig. I was going to get an owl carrier.
Let's go. Yeah, you're a wizard, Harry. Let's go. I'm down.
Exactly. And I would be remiss, as we do send you off into the rest of your Tuesday. A little birdie did want me to make sure we plugged that you do have your next fight booked.
Oh yeah. So it's gonna appreciate that. I haven't mentioned on the.
Who do you think the birdie was? Come on now.
Who was the? I know, right? So yeah, I got my next fight.
Come on now.
Yeah, for sure. So I got my next fight March 21st. It's gonna be in London, England, at the O2 Arena. I'm gonna be fighting at 205. I'm going down from heavyweight to light heavyweight. Yeah, so I'll be doing that. I'm obviously starting camp up right now, so super excited. Something to work towards. So yeah, I'm excited to get camp underway and get punched in the face a little bit, because why not? But I appreciate you having me, Mia. This has been a fun year. You know, I'm always when I get my phone back, I'm always a phone call away, but I'm literally right next door to you as well. And this will probably be the first club in a long time, especially echoing the beach bars, that I'm going to walk out my own, recognizance. I'm not going to get thrown out of it. So it's kind of a refreshing thing that I can just leave the club whenever I want, and I'm not getting politely asked to leave and then eventually having the bouncer come up and say it's time to go.
You can stay as long as you want. You can leave whenever you want. This is the beauty of Club 904, and also the beauty of the fact that we do use a different, for behind the scenes inside baseball folks, we use a different interface than they use for Brent and Austen. And so therefore, Austen can be anywhere in the world. He can be in London, and we could still have him in Club 904 and on the Brent and Austen show too. We figured that out as well. So appreciate you, Austen. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here, especially on Tuesdays when we do our little 1-2 step film breakdown.
Sounds good. Y'all stay casual. We'll see you around.
There he goes. And of course, you will catch him leading up to that fight at the O2 Arena in London. You will catch him on the Brett and Austen Show, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday, right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Our friend Hef is already hitting up the chat with some prospects the Jaguars should target at 3 Tech, since Austen believes that's the biggest need heading into the 2025-2026 offseason. We also do have some breaking news in the National Football League as Greg Roman and Mike Devlin, of course, Greg Roman, the OC, and Devlin, the offensive line coach, have been fired by Jim Harbaugh on the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll react to that. We'll empty the notebook. We'll also hear from Jourdan Lewis and Travis Etienne. If you haven't heard this one, you're going to want to, on Locker Room Cleanout Day. This is Club 904 on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
See a pit? It ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Welcome back into a Tuesday edition of Club 904. Appreciate Austen Lane hanging out with us for our opening segment on this first off-season edition of Club 904. I know during postgame on Sunday here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, many of you were worried. You said, no, don't take Club 904 away in the off-season. There's so much good to talk about in Duval. We're not taking it away. Brett and I were catching up when he got off Brett and Austen. Club 904 was coming on the air. That's why we came on live at 1:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's going to be a plan. We will be revealing it soon. We're not going anywhere, and we will be here today, Thursday live at 1 o'clock as well, because Liam Cohen and James Gladstone will meet with the media for their season-ending press conference tomorrow morning. So we'll react to that on Thursday's episode. We're going to empty the notebook one final time for the 2025 season. But first, I posted what I don't believe everyone realized was only a portion of Travis Etienne's 6+ minute media exit interview, whatever you want to call it, during Locker Room Cleanout on Monday. You're going to get the whole thing right now here on Club 904. Is he staying in Jacksonville? What do we think happens in the offseason? Travis dives into all that and more. And yes, he also has some inspirational words of wisdom for his 8-year teammate, Trevor Lawrence, towards the end. Here is TJ Travis Etienne.
Things just happened. We won that game yesterday, and I think we were going to lose, and it just wasn't our time. But I feel like we're not sad because we lost, but we're sad because all the work that we put into it and all the things that we did to get to that moment, But I'm just grateful, for my 5 years, to say the least, just to be a part of a standard that has been set here. I feel like we did those 5 years, or I didn't know those 5 years can't be taken away. It's a standard that's set, and just for the guys who are going to be here in the future, they have something to follow now. So I'm just proud of that, and grateful that I was able to be a part of that journey.
How quickly will you shift into the business side and what your future may hold?
I mean, honestly, not quickly. I think that's why we hire our agents, or we hire those people, because I feel like as a human, it's hard to take your emotion and the emotional side out of it. Just like I invested 5 years into this. When I got drafted, I think any player thinks you're going to retire with the team they get drafted to. You never think about the business side of the game. I think that's why we have those people who to think about those things for us, because as humans, bro, we can act off emotions, and that won't really be great for my finances or my family and the things that I need in my life. So I feel like for me, it's going to take me a while to get past it, but I'm pretty sure my agent hit me with some encouraging words or something to help me move forward. And to talk to my family, just being around them and, just see what things taste is. I've never been a part of this process, but just got to go through it.
What would be the goal for you? Would you want to stay here?
For sure. I feel like, most definitely, I feel like when I got drafted here, I wanted to be one of the best running backs to ever, put on a jersey. I wanted to be remembered like the guys, Fred Taylor, Maurice Jones-Drew, you had Leonard Fournette, just guys who've been here. You want to set that standard. You want to live a legacy. I feel like I was able to do that at Clemson. That's why I went there, to create a legacy, to leave a legacy. And I feel like you got people to come and follow that now. And obviously you won't do that in the NFL, but it's just different. It's not college. It's different of how everything works, and that's the business side of it and aspects and things that go into it that I might not ever understand, but it's not for me to understand. So I kind of just stopped trying to figure those things out and just focus on what I could do on the field and let everything else take care of itself.
Your parents moved here. Obviously, Trevor was at Florida at the time, but what has Jacksonville in particular meant to you? And maybe that's why this makes the process just even more heart-wrenching as you get ready to go through it.
I feel like Jacksonville, it helped me a lot, just a small town kid from Jourdan, Louisiana, and just coming here, I feel like the city has always embraced me. They always made me feel welcome, made me feel like it was home, and I never had access to a beach, so when I got access to a beach, it was just amazing for me. It was just icing on the cake, and just to see the growth that I've seen through these 5 years here in Jacksonville has been amazing. And just I feel like the people are very welcoming, and I just love the aspect of it. And man, the weather in Florida, the Lord knows the cold's never for me, so I feel like He sent me here for a reason. So just thinking about not having those Sunday practices in December is kind of just mind blowing, but we'll see what happens.
So you're not signing with Green Bay then?
Right, you ain't got to worry about me going to the cold. I'm probably not supposed to say that. But.
How running back friendly was Liam's offense in terms of what it allowed you to do?
I feel like Liam's offense is very running back friendly, but it also takes the skill set, also to be in those situations. But I feel like Liam, he's a very modern coach, so he knows how to create and attack mismatches. And I feel like that's what his offense really showcased this year, just to put us in position to make plays. And I was thankful that I was one of those people that could be out there and help set that standard and go and make those plays.
You were here in 22, and it started off okay in 23, and then things kind of fell apart. Why is this regime and this thing that you've built this year, why is that different, you think?
It's different because of the mindset, just because of the goals that we had. He never talked about winning a Super Bowl. It was always about being your best self each and every week. And that kind of just goes back to when I was at Clemson. Just being around, winning organizations and winning programs is never about the finished product. It's always about growing. And I feel like Cohen understands that. So if you come in here and get anybody to buy into a growth mindset to get better each and every day, you're going to have success. Success is just a byproduct of us just coming in here and putting that hard work in, and then preparing us for each and every Sunday. So when we step on that field, we out there playing free. And that's all you could ask for as a player, just to have coaches and people to put you in your best position to go out there and be able to showcase your talents.
You've been around Trevor for 8 years now, and he's played some of his best ball this season. What's the next level for him? Do you see him, how much more can he get up there?
Trev, I feel like we don't understand Trevor's ceiling, but I would say biggest thing for him is just let his nuts hang, I guess. Just be cocky, man. Just stop caring what people think. In reality, just don't give a damn, man. You're the man. Just go out there and be yourself, make plays, and just play fearlessly and reckless abandonment.
Do you let this one linger? I know you guys try to live by the 24-hour rule during the season, but it's the last game of the season. Do you let this one linger? Or you just try to live by that 24-hour rule this time around?
I mean, you try to live by that 24-hour rule, but when it's the last one like this, it does nothing but just lights a fire up under you for next season. And so if we all can just hone in onto that energy, that emotion that we felt, and take that in the offseason to get better, I feel like everyone's life is going to be better for it next year. And that's all you could ask for as a player. So I feel like you want to get over it, but it's not going to happen, especially when we see those guys out there playing next weekend and we know that we could have been in this position and we're not. It's going to hit a little harder. So we just got to bottle it up and just focus on how can we not be in this position next year. And I think we have the right people in the building for that.
N-U-T-S. Not N-U-T-S or N-U-T-Z.
Yeah, N-U-T-S, yeah.
Our thanks to Travis Etienne. Again, 6+ minutes in the locker room yesterday at Locker Room Clean Out. And print the shirts, man. You heard the man, Trevor. We did not get Trevor's reaction because he spoke prior to Travis Etienne, unfortunately. Speaking of timing, our time says about 6-7 minutes. Ooh, look what I just did there. Ha ha ha. Good job if you caught that one. Before Talent Talks makes its way onto the airwaves of the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And so we're going to briefly run through my notebook, my live game notes, the chicken scratch from the press box from the final game of the 2025 season, a 27-24 playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills for the Big Cats. Let's begin with this. Johnny Munt didn't hold up on Parker's end around. I think tight end is a sneaky position for the Jaguars to potentially address in the NFL draft, not just because of Munt's play, not just because Hunter Long ended up being the odd man out and was a healthy scratch. The ascension of Quentin Morris, certainly a storyline, but he is not maybe that pass-catching complement to Brenton Strange, that three-headed monster in Los Angeles with Sean McVay leaning into more 12 and 13 personnel is. And so I think that's going to be a storyline we'll be monitoring this offseason. But on that play in particular, I think it was an omen of what was to come in terms of pass blocking against and run blocking too, because it was an end around. But point being, it was a long day at the office for the Jaguars on the offensive line in the trenches front. A Jacoby drop. No, cue the elf meme again. One-on-one. Again, this was, and we've talked about this on the program before too. I felt like all season long, and I know many of you listening did as well, that it felt like the Jaguars needed to get out there the first few drives and see what the opponent presented, and then they would adjust, which is what good teams do. They're able to adjust in game. But with the Jags, I felt like at times they weren't the aggressor and needed to come out with their own game plan, and it felt like they reacted to what the Bills were showing early on in this one. A lot of Dennis Gardick, especially to start, because I think the Jags knew Bills are going to try to run the ball come hell or come high water, although they certainly did appear in nickel more than base in the second half of this game, at least by my naked eye. We're going to dive into some of those Sumer Sports numbers coming on Thursday here on Club 904. Great tackling by Newsome and Murray. Man, that one didn't age too well. Oh, yes, and then Greg gives up a first down. He beat him right off of his break. 1st and 20, they caught Devin with a screen. He was in position for a tackle for loss. Does it look like that the Jags are playing 10 yards off the wide receiver again? Or I think that was really just, again, in the first half, because defensively too, I feel like the Jags sat back, see what the opponent presents, and then they adjust in game. I just think that at some point in time, it has to be about us and not just what they are doing and how you're matching it. That's why so many people were upset with this whole run game, non-existent, but it was existing against the Bills on Sunday on the offensive front for the Jags. Because if the Bills' weakness is run defense, why wouldn't you run the ball? And especially if running the football in the trenches is your strength, as the Jaguars early in the season proclaimed it to be. Surprised no one was blitzing yet. That was in the first quarter. I'm still surprised that there really wasn't a ton of blitzes, design blitzes from Anthony Campanelli and the defense for the Jaguars. Third down and completion, a sicko lineup with Dennis Gardick at edge, no Devin, and 6 DBs. Love it. We probably have to get Travis Etienne. Many of you who listen to this program commented as such, certainly on the Mobile NFL Notebook. It was a talking point as well. Maybe got to get some thicker spikes because a second straight week that the lead tailback for the Jaguars was slipping all over the place. Great form tackle by Trevor on the interception. I know I wasn't alone in writing that one down. Trevor, when he was on the ground during the toot-in run into deep in Bills territory, I think he took it to like the 4-yard line, and everyone thought Trevor was hurt, and then Trevor's laying on the ground with his hands up for the touchdown motion. LOL. Now in the second quarter, I wrote, so yeah, I think just run the ball, IMO. Just run the ball. I'm sure Liam Cohen's going to be asked about it tomorrow, by the way. Second half notes. Screen to Shakir on third down is a killer. The 3-and-out would have been great and would have been a dagger. I would agree with that sentiment 48 hours later, because I do think that if the Jaguars get off the field on that opening drive for the Bills, and yes, they didn't end up giving up points, I don't believe, on that drive, but if they had forced a 3-and-out to start the second half, maybe that changes the tone of that third quarter. Should Camp start dialing it up? Maybe gamble. It's kind of like the run game. That's going to be the two biggest woulda, shoulda, couldas, I think, coming out of this one for the Big Cats. Jacoby annihilated Joey Bosa. Etienne did run off to the right side. We're no longer just running off the left guard. Good to see. Unclear why Trevor tried a QB keeper on 2nd and 10. Trevor is a step late on the Strange touchdown. And then after that, I stopped writing notes because it was such a back and forth affair at Everbank Stadium. Let's take... You know what? We don't have time for another quick break. We're going to take a quick break at the end. I'm going to leave you with Jourdan Lewis. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show. Here is the Jaguars captain, heart of that cornerback room. I think he was a captain this year. If he wasn't, he will be next year, because Jourdan Lewis certainly is the unsung hero, leader, leads film study for that young defensive back room. And he spoke on his first season in Duval on Monday.
2 years consecutively in a defense, I think it'll help us a lot in the system.
What's the biggest sign to you that what has been built here this year by Liam Cohen and Gladstone and those guys is sustainable and will lead to continued success?
The buy-in, and how easy it was and how seamless, I guess everybody, they adapted to, the new system. It usually takes a few years when you build it upon something that's new. Especially when you have a lot of things that's as detailed on offense and defense that we have on this team. So when you saw that, how quickly guys adapted to it, and how quickly guys had success, no matter who was in there, it shows you that it's sustainable and we can build on it.
Have you been around or been in a situation where it's come that quickly?
When Dan Quinn was in Dallas, so his first year in Dallas. It was really the same situation. We were really one of the worst defenses in the league 2020. Then 2021, everything changed. We got tighter as a defensive unit, and guys had success quickly. And they adapted to it. And just like that system, we expounded on it and got better at it, fine-tuned it. And then, we knew exactly how guys wanted to attack us. And then we got better. And I feel like it's the same thing here, but the difference is these guys are young. We have veterans. We got a lot of veteran leaders in that group. Some guys are 4 or 5 years in the league, 6 years in the league, whereas these guys are 2 years, rookies and guys like that's playing at an extreme level. So that's a really good sign for you to say you can sustain this success for some X amount of years.
Now that
I was just gonna say, obviously your season ended a little bit earlier. What's the recovery timeline for you? Do you think it'll be that?
Hopefully a few months. Hopefully a few months I'll be running and things like that. Just making sure I'm as fully as healthy as I can be. I had the injury bug this year, and making sure that I can sustain this year or next year, and be healthy as possible. But like I said, I know what's expected of me and of this defense and of this team. So I think it'd be really easy for me to understand, what the next steps will be.
The culture that Liam established here, how much easier is it going to be next year when everybody's a part of it and you're just onboarding a few new
But
guys?
it's easy, man, because when you have success like that, it's easy to be like, okay, we only need to fine tune a few things. It's not like it's a complete overhaul of the guys or coaching staff or anything that needs to be changed. It's a few tweaks, like you said. It's a few things that we need to understand. I really think it's just the details that we need to be in to be better at.
What do you think?
We have to wrap a little bit early, so if you want to hear the rest of that interview with Jourdan Lewis, encourage you to check out the O'Brien NFL Notebook. Of course, you can subscribe, free 7-day trial. Memberships start at $5 per month. Talent Talks comes your way next on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Bobby Kennan, the head coach of the UNF men's basketball team, slated to join both Brent and Richard. Ton of Osprey action on the hardwood. Winter sports, looking ahead to spring sports too. Much to do still here on a Tuesday in Duval County on the Action Sports Jacks Network. Until Thursday, we will be back 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, with updates from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone's final availability of the 2025 season. We will catch you then right here in Club 904.